And hello everyone, my name is Daniel Frierson and this is part 1 of testing this absolute mountain of PC hardware that I recently bought on eBay. In this video we will be testing the 7 motherboards that I need to get out of the way. Once we have tested those motherboards I can get to the fun stuff like the PCIe devices, the PCI devices, the AGP devices, the hard drives, the DVD drives, the power supplies. Actually, I'm going to have to do one of those power supplies straight away because we need at least one of them to plug in the motherboards. So, let's start with this Core 2 Duo board because I want this cooler for other things. Oh, first one with VGA. The first one with VGA. That's okay. I have a VGA cable. I just need to, climb around all of my recording stuff to actually plug it in. Okay, now we can actually plug it in. VGA, USB for the keyboard and mouse, and we need to power it. Oh, we need to give it RAM. I have a literal pile of RAM. Let's find some DDR2. That's DDR3. Your DDR2, 555. I think I have some 666. Oh, that's a matching stick. Okay, that's good. Put that to one side. Where is my 667? Yeah, 2 gig DDR2 667. I have another one of those somewhere. There we go. 4 gigs of DDR2 667. That should do nicely. Assuming it works. Okay. We will need a drive. We will need a drive. Where did that... I had a hard drive put what... I had a hard drive put to one side and now I can't see it. Where's it gone? Nah, seriously, I had a hard drive put to one side that I was going to use today, and now I can't find it. Oh, it's behind the monitor. It's behind the monitor. This is just the 2.5-inch HGST 250 gig drive. I'm using this because it's small enough that I don't actually have to worry about it being in the way. So let's use a SATA cable that I just pulled out of my drawer. There we go. Now we need power. Let's try this 450 watt Super Flower. It's a really weird name for a power supply, but okay, I'll take it. Okay, we have power. This motherboard doesn't have any LEDs, so I have no way of telling if power is actually being supplied. So I guess I'll just bridge the power button and hope for the best. And power switch is... Power supply is on, that fan is spinning. The monitor isn't on. Why? You're ruining everything, monitor. No signal. No signal. Okay. Just give it a second. I'm not getting a num lock on the keyboard. Nope. Not getting num lock. The hard drive is spinning. The CPU fan is spinning. Okay, let's try different RAM. Power on, front panel. Same as before, CPU fan is spinning, power supply is on, hard drive is spinning, very slowly. We're not getting a display. I'm going to try a different power supply before I go to the extent of swapping the CPU. Let's try a different power supply. This is the Colink power supply. It's only a 400 watt and it can only do 288 watts on the 12 volt rail, and it's 80 plus bronze instead of gold. First of all, do you explode? No, doesn't explode. That's good at least. There we go. Make sure that's in nicely. Actually, can we? Let's use a cable here. Just raise this PCIe area off the table a little bit. Okay, this is more of a mess than last time. Power on. Nothing exploded. And front panel header. Fan is spinning. This fan is spinning. And okay, bad power supply. So we found our first bad power supply. Core 2 Duo E6750, we are detecting all of the RAM, and it wants me to reset the BIOS. Okay, last known good. Do you boot the Windows installer? That is my next question. One bad power supply so far. That's not the end of the world. This is booting into an install. Huh? Is there Windows 10 on this hard drive? There is Windows 10 on this hard drive and it has no password. Well, that's convenient. I got a Windows 10 installed. Oh, previous owner, please remember to format your drives. This is a thing that I get so often when I'm picking up PC hardware. People forget to format their drives. My laptop even, that came with a working Windows 10 install that still had personal files on it. Please, format your hard drives. At the very least, factory reset them. Core 2 Duo, 2 cores, 2 threads, 2.7 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM. 4 gigs unknown. Wow. Okay, well, that is one motherboard tested, I guess. Shut down. On to the next. Let's try the Pentium 4 board, which means I'm going to need more DDR2. Now I'll try the 667 stuff that didn't work before. That should be good. We will not be needing the PCIe device here because that's not going to work. I don't know if this is going to want to boot into Windows 10 at all, but we'll find out. Okay, power on. No explosions, that's a good sign. Front panel header is over here. That's a loud fan. It turned off. Was that just RAM training? Okay. Pentium 4. Can we get into that BIOS, please? So the Pentium 4 3 GHz chip and board do work. We are not detecting any IDE devices because why would we? We have plugged into SATA. Yeah, Pentium 4 3 GHz. Can you boot Windows 10? I mean, a Pentium 4 and Windows 10 is a terrible matchup. But, holy crap, it boots. So I have a working Pentium 4 board. What socket is this? Okay, this is a socket 478 CPU, and this apparently has hyperthreading support. The 64-bit application couldn't load because you don't have a 64-bit processor. Is this a 32-bit processor? Yeah, it's a 32-bit processor. So this would need Windows XP for me to actually test it. That's annoying. Okay, moving on. Next motherboard. Jesus Christ, that got hot. Oh, that's not even the chip that's hot. That is here. Power plane. MOSFETs. Yeah. The chip is, like, not that bad, but this bit here, that's horrifically hot. I mean, the motherboard is bent, so that might have something to do with it. No, the CPU cooler is on fire. These Pentium 4 chips, I did say when I was unboxing all of this, they use a lot of power. 82 watts. 82 watts in a stock cooler that is about the size of the coolers that you get with 60 watt CPUs. Let's try the i3 board. This is a 2nd/3rd gen Intel board. So it supports 2nd/3rd gen CPUs. It only has a 2nd gen in there right now, which we don't care too much about. It's an i3 2220. I don't care about that. Let's try this RAM. Front panel power. That is a loud fan. I threw that on there out of nowhere. Are you going to slow down? Okay, there we go. Oh, it just turned off. Oh, it's RAM training. It's RAM training. Okay, restart it again. It could be bad RAM. That's possible. It's just boot looping. Oh dear. Okay. I'm going to assume that it's RAM, so I'm going to take out one stick and see what happens. Boot looping and beep codes, they're often RAM. I haven't connected a beep speaker, so... Yeah, okay, it's RAM. It's RAM. Oh, we don't have a full 8 gig kit. That's disappointing. Well, that took a while. Mouse works. I've asked it to open Task Manager, and now I'm just getting a spinning mouse wheel. Right, what is going on? We have a i3 3220, and we have 4 gigs of DDR3 1600. It has booted correctly. Do we have that USB 3 controller working? I didn't check that last time. I probably should have done. I just tried to open File Explorer and nothing happened. Yeah, the USB 3 controller is working. We have my Windows 10 installer recognized. Good. Okay, let's turn this off. Let's see. What do you say on the back? Yeah, that's a pretty high amperage fan. No wonder it runs so fast. Let's swap that for a slightly less power hungry one. This one only draws about 5 watts. And let me just quickly see if we have a dead memory channel or if it's actually a dead RAM stick. Okay, reset. Please don't be a dead RAM. Please don't be dead RAM. It reset again. I'm going to give it a few tries. It's not looking good. So we have a dead RAM stick. Oh, this would have been perfect. This would have been perfect. Like, I am trying to recreate my first gaming rig. I need to use this motherboard and that GT620, but I really need 8 gigs of RAM because that's the configuration I had before. I was hoping these sticks would do the job, but one of them's dead. And I can't remember which one now. Okay, now for the big one. This is the Sun motherboard. I did a bit of Googling between unboxing this and now. This came out of a Sun Workstation 24. It is a socket 775 board on the X38 chipset. So it supports Core 2s and Core 2 quads. It does not support Xeons. but it does support ECC memory. So if you have ECC DDR2, it should work. Now, hopefully, the fact that this supports ECC RAM doesn't mean that it won't work without ECC RAM. Because that will be annoying. Okay, everything's hooked up except for... No, that is everything. This has an internal USB header. Oh, this fan connector is bent. Where is that syringe? Because if I'm right... Yep. I can use it to straighten pins. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Front panel, green, 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 green. Oh, turn the power supply on. That would help. Nope, that's not green. That's not it either. Which one's? It doesn't tell me. Is it that one? That one? That one? That one? Okay, we have a green LED, but we can't seem to turn it on. There's a power switch on the board. Okay, CPU. Debug code FF. We have a red light and a green light, and it's a debug code FF. Right, I'm going to try different RAM. This might legitimately need ECC RAM, which I don't have any DDR2 ECC. Immediately FF. Is that CPU or is that RAM? I do not know. I'll try a different CPU. You might be saying, well, just Google what FF means. This motherboard doesn't have a manual online. I cannot find one. So I can't actually do that. Right, let's try a Core 2 Duo E8300. This motherboard does have Core 2 Duo support, so that should work. But I am, at the moment, a little bit concerned about the RAM compatibility. I might actually need DDR2 ECC. I don't have any of that. We are now at code 9A. 9A. That's different. Is 9A RAM? Are we stuck at 9A? We've had 3 working motherboards so far. I really wanted number 4 to just continue that streak. Maybe it doesn't like that RAM slot. Let's try a different RAM slot. FF, 9A. I have more DDR2. I'll keep trying. Now, this could be a lot of things. It might be RAM. It could be PCIe. It could just be a dead BIOS. Like, the BIOS could be corrupted. That is an option. It is in a socketed chip. But I don't have the equipment I need to fix BIOSes at the moment. But let me try a completely different stick of DDR2. And see what that does. FF, 9A. Just 9A. What does 9A mean? Once I've exhausted my DDR2 supply, I will consider this board non-functional until I get my hands on some ECC DDR2 to test it again. It could be a GPU issue. Hold on. Let's find out. Oh, this is a terrible... Oh my god, you're hot. Yeah, the fan was never spinning. Let me consider that it's a GPU issue. Yeah, that's hot. That is boiling. I think that's actually dead. Right, let's just try this 460. Like, I'm not supposed to be testing GPUs right now. I'm testing boards. Where is that 8-pin? There you are. Come on. Okay, here is my 8-pin to dual 8-pin splitter. Never use these. Please, never use these. A single 8-pin is designed for 150 watts. 2 8-pins is 300. Please do not split your 8-pins. And power on. On. FF D4. D4. Fan is spinning. What is D4? Let me try moving that to a different slot. FF, D4, straight to D4. So it's not the PCIe slot. I don't think. Hold on a sec. Let me try taking out the USB 3 controller. Maybe that's been the issue the whole time. Whoa. That turned on without me touching it. And we've gone straight to D4 again. We've gone straight to D4 again. We weren't booting before because of the GPU. And now we're still not booting. Right, let's try this random stick. Power on. D5. D6. Oh, we're booting. D5. Oh, it went through. Oh, D6. 0C. 2A. Booted. Okay. So, potentially bad DDR2. Potentially bad GT620. But we have booted. CMOS settings wrong. Date time not set. CPU fan error. System will shut down after 10 seconds. F2 to run setup or to skip shutdown. So it's complaining about the CPU fan and then it's turning off. Interesting. But we're booting. Okay. So that is 4 working motherboards. This board doesn't like the Celeron I tried first. It's a bit picky on RAM, or I have bad RAM, and this GT620 may very well be dead. Yeah, that is actually still warm. And we have a driver error. That's a shame. But it turned on. Whether or not it works perfectly is not the point of this video. 4 for 4. Not bad, not bad. Okay, next up is the HP AM2 board, which has an Athlon 2. And it works. Oh, it's a compact board. I was expecting a HP. Athlon 2 X2 220, 2.8 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM. Are we just going to go straight to Windows? Yeah? Okay. 5 working motherboards. Not bad. Unfortunately, there's no 16x PCIe slot on here. And I don't know if that's intentional because this looks damaged. It may very well have been ripped off. But yeah, we're booting. Yeah, Athlon 2 220, 2.8 gigahertz, 2 cores. That is correct. Okay. Unceremoniously kill it. And let me just see if the other stick of this RAM magically works now. Yep. So both sticks of this RAM do actually work. Do they work at the same time? Yep. They both work. So I do have a matching kit of 8 gigs DDR3 1600. Good. I need that. We booted. Okay, so that means we do actually have a full 8 gigs of RAM working. Right? Do we actually have 8 gigs of RAM working? Please say yes. A full 8 gigs of 1066. Ah, that might be the problem. This is an AM2 board, which means 1066 actually might be the only speed it supports. And I tried this with an i3 2nd gen, which supports 1333. I would need a 3rd gen CPU to go to 1600. So it actually might have only had an issue at higher speeds. 5 for 5. And now for the AM3 Plus boards. I will have to swap the cooler and CPU between these boards because I only have one CPU cooler and chip for them. And sadly, this is only a 4300. I was hoping for an 8350, but you know what? Big deal. I can just buy an 8300 for 15 British pounds when I feel like it, and overclock it to outperform the 8350. Pretty easily too. Do we get a display? Yes, we do. Okay. So the CPU works, the RAM works, the motherboard works. For those of you who are curious as to why I'm so excited, the AM3 Plus boards are really the only valuable things out of the entire job lot of parts. I mean, that Sun motherboard is in theory worth over 100 British pounds, but they don't sell that often. When they do sell, they sell for about 100 British pounds. But they only sell like 2 or 3 times a year, based on previous sales. There's plenty of them listed, but there's not that many buyers. Okay, we have a 3.8 GHz CPU, FX 4300 quad core, very good. 8 gigs of DDR3 1600. It just works. Okay. This hard drive, Jesus, 10 megabytes per second, 20, and it's a 200 millisecond response time. Okay, that is pretty cool. So this AM3 Plus motherboard works. What about the other one? And this other one is a Gigabyte GA970A-DS3P. Now, what does that mean? It means it's a pretty high-end Gigabyte board. I didn't get an I/O shield for it. It does have USB 3. No onboard video, though. This board expects you to be using a graphics card. It has SLI support. That's good. PCIe 2.0. Doesn't tell me much else. So, you will notice there's no backplate. This board had a custom cooler on it. Well, no, it had a custom backplate on it. It didn't have the cooler. I do not have the matching cooler for that backplate, so I will have to take the backplate off of this one, but that's okay. It's just a few minutes of work, no big deal. Okay, that's everything. Power on, no explosions, and front panel, power. Do we get 7 out of 7? Yes, we do. 7 out of 7 working motherboards. That is amazing. Okay, I have confirmed the difference between these two motherboards. This one is on a 700 series chipset, that's on a 900 series chipset. So this is the newer and more feature-rich version of AM3 Plus. So that is the motherboard I would want to use. I was just a bit confused because it has less ATX 12 volt than this one, because this has an 8-pin, that has a 4-pin. They're both rated for 125 watt CPUs, like the 8370. Neither of these boards officially support the FX 9000 CPUs, which were the 5 gigahertz CPUs on AM3 Plus. Yeah, they were incredibly power-hungry chips. Neither of these boards claim to support them. But are we good? FX 4300, 8 gigs of RAM? Yeah. That is 7 for 7 working motherboards. Outstanding. Out-frickin-standing. Wow. Okay. So that rounds up part 1 of testing all of these components. Next time, I may very well do the PSUs, but I'm eager to test all the PCI devices. So I might do those instead. Either way, thank you for watching. and I'll see you next time for more testing.